Hi, I'm Sarah McCullough, and I'm the Associate Director at the Feminist Research Institute. And I care about making science more just by integrating the tools from my training in cultural studies and feminist science technology studies into STEM graduate curriculum. Asking Different Questions is a research training program that is dedicated to giving STEM scholars who already have a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, or justice to help them to really solidify that commitment in their research. Oftentimes, scientists will enter their research with a desire to make real change. However, sometimes for various reasons that can get lost along the way. Our program really helps people to reorient onto that commitment and gives them the intellectual tools to really create new research agendas that are equitable and help to have a greater impact on society and simultaneously be more accurate. When STEM researchers get training in equity and justice, they learn how histories of coloniality, histories of white supremacy, histories of patriarchy, as well as other intersections of oppression continue to persist in current day scientific practices. When we think about coloniality, we have to think about land use and the way that historic indigenous lands continue to be used as tools for scientific discovery without acknowledging the vital importance of indigenous science. The most prominent example of that right now is the controversy over the building of the 30-meter telescope on the top of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. When we think about race, we can think about the long legacy of Black people in our country being subject to medical experimentation, often against their will. We can also look at the ways that they themselves have been pathologized. One way that this continues to persist is in the persistence of a disparity mentality when studying Black, Indigenous, and communities of color, as if there is something they are lacking, rather than looking at the strengths and resiliencies of that community, along with perhaps just as, or more importantly, the structures of oppression that actually have worked to systematically create those disparities. And finally, if we look at gender, our training can empower STEM researchers to understand how gendered metaphors really deeply shape scientific knowledge production. One example of that is the persistence of militarized metaphors in scientific research. Saying that you are targeting, that you are infiltrating, that something is invading. All of these metaphors fundamentally set up a mentality of opposition, of competition. And those metaphors may not always be appropriate to describe the material phenomena of what is happening. And so when we can find new metaphors that perhaps have different gendered connotations or that are moving away from gendered connotations, we can create different research questions and do different analysis that leads us to different conclusions that actually produces more accurate scientific knowledge. Ultimately, what we want to see at the end of the day is amazing new research projects coming out that are truly working to bring about that more just world we all want.